We just bailed.
What if I told you there are people who willingly crawl into the darkest, tightest spaces on Earth?
I see how this is the hardest spot.
Armed with nothing but a headlamp and a whole lot of confidence. Well, these 6 cave explorers found out the hard way that underground adventures don't always go as planned, starting with a flooding nightmare that nearly drowned an entire group. On November 3rd, 2023, a YouTuber named Alex from Cantrell Caving took 4 of his friends into a cave they had never explored before. The plan was straightforward: follow the rope, reach the end, and document everything for his channel. At first, things seemed fine. Everyone was joking around, spirits were high, and the adventure felt like any other cave expedition. But underground conditions can change in minutes, and these guys were about to learn that lesson the hard way.
All right, dudes, we're back with Matt again.
Yo!
We're exploring more of the ranch. We got this cave right here. He's got us out here. We're about to go explore it for him, get the rest of us.
Not long into their descent, they started battling rising water. The narrow passages were flooding fast, making every step more dangerous. The rocks became slick with moisture, and the air grew heavy and damp. They kept pushing forward anyway, still laughing and talking about reaching the end of the tunnel. But beneath all that bravado, you could see the tension starting to build on their faces.
Oh, it's all mud here.
I think I need the mask.
Yeah, no, they've gone further on the maps.
Jacob, who had scouted ahead, tried to warn the group about what was coming. Some sections were completely underwater, meaning they would have to duck their heads just to breathe. There would be parts where breathing simply wasn't possible. Despite the warning, the group decided to keep going. That's when everything went sideways. Alex found himself crawling through water that filled his ears, forced to tilt his head straight up just to catch a breath against the ceiling. His confidence disappeared, replaced by visible fear and frantic movements.
He's going upside down.
That's how you're supposed to do it, man.
Yeah. Really? That makes it easier.
Yeah.
Then, disaster struck. One of Alex's friends completely panicked in the water. Struggling to breathe and overwhelmed by claustrophobia, he grabbed onto Alex in desperation, nearly dragging them both under. Cold water, pitch darkness, and pure terror in a space where you can barely move.
Hey, my light's gone. I need some light. Head bleeding, by the way. Come on, you head bleeding. Yeah, you're bleeding.
Somehow, through the chaos, they managed to keep their heads above water and pull themselves back toward the entrance. By the time they reached open space, both Alex and his friend were scraped up, bruised, and absolutely exhausted. They were incredibly lucky to make it out alive. But that near drowning was nothing compared to what happened next, because this explorer got wedged so tight he could barely breathe.
Air.
And then
I guess I smacked into you.
Yeah, no, dude. You shoved me underneath the water.
He was upside down.
In the corner.
I'm so sorry.
This footage was uploaded in January 2022 by a channel called Caveman Hikes. The man behind the camera has successfully escaped dozens of dangerous caves, but this particular video shows him coming dangerously close to being trapped forever. He reached an extremely narrow passage and decided to push forward, squeezing himself into a gap that kept getting tighter and tighter.
I've been going this way, and now I'm gonna have to turn my back and sort of go up under here like this, which is, it may well open up, but...
At first, he thought he could make it through by going Superman style, flat on his stomach, but he quickly realized that his clothes would bunch up and make backing out nearly impossible. As he inched deeper into the passage, he started using his feet for leverage, pinching them against the ceiling to push himself along. You can hear the strain in his voice as he talks to the camera, trying to stay calm while working through one of the tightest squeezes of his life.
Yeah, well, I'm here, I can help.
I got it.
I'm just saying, if you got stuck. There's 2 of us.
He kept pushing forward until he finally hit a point where he simply couldn't go any further. His knee pad got caught, his clothes were bunching up exactly like he feared, and he found himself wedged between solid rock with very limited room to maneuver.
Giant space. So now I am simply gonna make this crawl. So I'm gonna set up this camera. I'm gonna crawl through this.
That's when he made the smart decision to stop pushing his luck and start backing out. For several tense minutes, he carefully worked his way backward through the same impossible gap he had just squeezed through. Every movement had to be calculated because one wrong shift could wedge him in even tighter. Fortunately, after a lot of struggling and some creative maneuvering, he managed to escape without any injuries. At least he was alone during his nightmare.
Your little face. That's pretty tough. We're done.
Yeah, oh, definitely done. Going home, warm.
But these two brothers experienced something way worse when they got separated deep underground. The action-adventure twins, brothers James and Edward, have been exploring caves since early 2020. In March 2021, they decided to tackle one of the most notorious sections of Petty John Cave in Georgia, a passage appropriately named the Nervous Breakdown. They had explored other parts of this massive cave system before and felt confident they could handle whatever this section threw at them. They had no idea how wrong they were.
I'm excited. We haven't been here in quite a while, and we're trying to get all the way down in the stream passage to a place called High Anxiety.
The trip started smoothly enough. They squeezed through the narrow entrance and crawled through increasingly tight passages for about 25 minutes. Then they hit their first serious obstacle, a muddy chamber with a deep pit in the middle that they had to carefully navigate around. One wrong move would mean falling into a tight shaft with almost no chance of climbing back out. After safely passing that hazard, they finally reached the entrance to the Nervous Breakdown, only to find that part of the area had collapsed, making it even more dangerous than usual. Edward decided to go down first while James stayed above as backup. That's when everything went wrong. After descending deeper into the cave, Edward tried to call out to his brother but got no response. He suddenly found himself completely alone in an unfamiliar part of the cave with no way to communicate. At first, he tried to stay calm and kept moving, hoping to meet up with James somewhere ahead. But after 30 minutes of searching and calling out with zero response, panic started to creep in.
James! James!
The worst part was that every direction looked exactly the same in the dim light of his headlamp. Narrow tunnels, uneven rock walls, and no recognizable landmarks to help him remember where he came from. He knew that one wrong turn could leave him wedged in a passage he couldn't escape, or worse, lost until exhaustion took over. After what felt like hours of wandering in circles, Edward finally spotted a small piece of marker tape he recognized from earlier. Following that tiny clue, he was eventually able to find his way back to James. The brothers reunited with massive relief and stayed together for the rest of the expedition. Getting lost is terrifying, but being trapped with water rising around you is a whole different level of nightmare. In January 2014, a group of experienced cave explorers set out to conquer Lost John's Cave in Lancaster, England. This impressive cave system stretches for about 3 miles, with depths reaching around 700 feet. The team had years of caving experience and felt confident in their abilities. They had studied maps, planned their route, and packed all the necessary gear. But when things go wrong underground, no amount of planning can guarantee your safety. Everything went fine at first as the team moved deeper into the cave system. But then they reached a section known as the Tube, an extremely narrow passage that required crawling on their stomachs. To make matters worse, part of the passage was filled with water, making visibility and breathing incredibly difficult. The thinnest member of the group went first and squeezed through successfully. Bob Johnson went next, and his luck ran out fast. At first, Bob made steady progress through the tube, but he started struggling even in the wider sections. Then he reached the narrowest part and became completely wedged from the waist down. Every attempt to free himself only made things worse. Being stuck in such a tight space is already terrifying, but Bob's nightmare was just beginning because water started rising around him. In a dry cave, you at least have time to think and plan your escape, but when water starts rising while you're trapped in solid rock, you have minutes before drowning becomes a real possibility. Bob could feel the freezing water climbing up his body while he desperately fought to free himself. His clothing was soaked through, making him heavier, and his escape attempts even more hopeless. Just when the situation seemed completely hopeless, one of the team members had a brilliant idea. Instead of trying to push Bob forward, they started carefully pulling him backward. It worked. Bob was finally freed, though his ordeal was far from over.
Stuck at this corner. That's it. Yeah?
He and the two teammates who rescued him had to crawl for another 3 hours to escape through an alternative route. Bob later said he still can't watch the footage from that day without experiencing severe anxiety. Now, physical danger is one thing, but what this explorer encountered in an abandoned mine will send chills down your spine. Jacob has been exploring abandoned mines for nearly 20 years, documenting forgotten tunnels and sharing their hidden history with viewers on his YouTube channel. But on the cold, rainy evening of December 5th, 2017, he encountered something he would never forget. He drove down a dark, deserted road toward another abandoned mine, completely unaware of what awaited him underground. At first, everything seemed normal and almost peaceful as he walked beneath rotting wooden beams, barely holding back the weight of the earth above. After more than 15 minutes of walking, something strange appeared on his camera that he didn't notice at the time. A faint flash of light deep in the tunnel, like a distant flashlight beam. Moments later, disturbing sounds began echoing through the darkness, soft whisper-like noises coming from somewhere just out of sight.
Sounds like,
Despite his years of experience exploring these places, this particular sound was getting under his skin. He decided to head back toward the entrance, but on his way out, he noticed another tunnel he had missed before.
Do you hear that? It stopped.
Inside that tunnel, steel chains hung from the ceiling. At first glance, they seemed ordinary enough, but then Jacob noticed something that made his blood run cold. One of the chains was slowly swaying back and forth, as if someone had just touched it moments before. There was no wind, no explanation for why it would be moving. That was enough for Jacob. Realizing he might not be alone down there, he immediately left the mine and never looked back.
Oh, Jesus. That's the wall deck mine.
To this day, he still has no explanation for what happened in that tunnel. Strange noises and swaying chains are creepy, but when equipment starts failing hundreds of feet underground, that's when things get truly life-threatening. In early 2025, YouTuber Cave Chronicles and his friends set out to tackle the deepest pit in America, the fantastic pit inside Ellison's Cave. At first, the video felt like any of his other adventures. The group was laughing, exploring, and tossing rocks into the depths just to show how far down it really went. Then they reached the edge and began rappelling into complete darkness, one by one descending into the massive chamber below.
Go! Oh, this is the first pit.
A warm-up pit?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
We gotta climb up.
Yeah, go.
At the bottom, spirits were high as they admired the sheer size and beauty of the underground space. The group split up, with some members wanting to start ascending using a brand new piece of equipment they had brought, while others explored a nearby section. That's when the first disaster hit. The ascender jammed on the rope, leaving one person stuck dangling midair in the massive shaft. After several tense minutes, the group managed to free him and get him down safely, but the problems were just beginning.
Yeah, what happened?
Cave Chronicles decided to turn back because his flashlight batteries were dying, and in a place like this, light means survival. When he reached the pit again, he noticed the ascender hadn't been lowered back down. He tried calling up to the surface, but the connection was weak. Suddenly, a deafening bang echoed through the cave. The ascender came crashing down from above, barely missing him. If it had struck him, it could have been fatal. Still shaken, he tested the device and found it barely functional, but it was his only way out.
Oh, I just barely got a message there. Oh my god! Dude! No!
The group had long missed their scheduled call-out time, meaning cave rescue was likely already on the way. Eventually, every member made it out alive, but the experience left them all shaken and served as a brutal reminder that even experienced explorers can find themselves seconds away from disaster in places like this. If these stories had your heart racing, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss another terrifying moment caught on camera. We've got tons more insane footage coming your way.